Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10. The pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Starting with the chapter summary. This 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramachandra appeared in the dynasty of Maharaj Khatvanga. So prior to this, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the names of so many antecedents of Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan have been given. So they're all great devotees of the Lord. The Lord doesn't appear in some demon's family. His devotee might do, but he doesn't. He appears in the... So all these names, that's the Raghu dynasty, then Khatvanga, because they appear at different stages, so they're all great devotees. Khatvanga Maharaj is briefly described in Bhagavatam. He's cited as an example by Shukadev Goswami of not wasting time. One should immediately take shelter of Krishna. It's said he was fighting for the demigods. He was human, but fighting on behalf of the demigods. So for a very long period he was fighting, and at the end the demigod party came out victorious. So then the demigods wanted to give him a benediction. And you can imagine all the demigods together, what benediction they wanted to... I mean, you could really... It's like getting a free pass to the shopping mall. Whatever you want, just take it. And people are worshipping Durga and Shiva and Saraswati. You have a free. Just take whatever you want. No need to do any puja, just whatever you want. The demigods are ready to give it. So most people think, oh, great, how can I enjoy myself?
அதிகபட்சமான மக்கள் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, ஓ ரொம்ப அருமை, இது மாதிரி எப்படி நான் இதெல்லாத்தையும் அனுபவிக்க போறேன் அப்படின்னு உடனே அதை யோசிப்பாங்க.
But Khatvanga Maharaj was a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. So as a matter of duty, he was called by the demigods and he fought for them. But his only real interest in life was Vishnu, Bhagavan. So when it was, he wanted to dedicate the rest of his life not to any kind of material enjoyment, but to worshipping the Supreme Lord. So for the demigods, he said, just tell me one thing. How much time have I got left in my life? They told him 1 muhurta. Which can mean 1 moment or 1 short division of the day, about 48 minutes. So he just left and came to Bharatavarsha, and because the atmosphere here is more favorable for remembering the Supreme Lord, he remembered the Supreme Lord and went back to Godhead. So we're supposed to be talking about Ramchandra Bhagavan, and now we're talking about Khatvanga Maharaj. Actually, the proper system, you should go through all the ancestors, all the great devotees, describe them all, then you only come to Ramchandra. And actually that way you can appreciate more how all these, what great devotees and how Lord Ramachandra has appeared in their family, and how we should try to be great devotees also, so that the Supreme Lord will be pleased to appear in our hearts and in our lives. But in this material world, time is a limiting factor. And Parikshit Maharaj only had 7 days to live, and already it's about almost halfway over by the time you reach here. So Shukdev, he could have spent years describing Maharaj Khatvanga. Years. But he only had 7 days. And he had to describe Krishna lila more. So just briefly he covered many cases. In some cases, he just mentioned the names of the devotees. Otherwise, if he'd have, and you start describing Rama lila or Vamana lila, and if there was no time limit, then he'd still be there. He wouldn't have got to Krishna lila yet. He'd probably still be on the first verse of Bhagavatam. He wouldn't even do. Let's discuss the word. Okay, Shukadev speaking to Parikshit. Let's discuss the first word, Om. And there's no end, because Om is unlimited. But we are miserable beings of Kali Yuga. So out of mercy upon us, we have a summary. We have a small Srimad Bhagavatam. We get it in 18 volumes. It's a condensation of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 18,000 verses. We think, oh, what a big thing. How could I read such a big book? But this is only the pocket dictionary. This is only the condensed version. So Ram Leela is described here briefly. Shukadev says to Parikshit, I won't get into detail. You've already heard it so many times. Now, how did Shukadev know that Parikshit had heard Ram Leela many times? Of course, Shukadev, he can know anything. Samsava bhuta hridayam, what is that? Munimana tosmi. That's Sutta Goswami offers obeisance to him. That I offer obeisance to him, Shukadev, who can enter the hearts of all. Okay. But anyway, it's just understood that everyone knows Ram Leela. It's you grow up with it. Everyone grows up, especially those who are born in the family of kings and of devotees. Everyone, but especially those who are in the families of kings, they have to rule as the representative of Rama. Even today, the kings of Thailand, they have the name Rama. In their Thai language, it's pronounced a little differently, but it means all the kings. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. Present king, I don't know what number he's on, but they're all Rama. And the previous capital of Thailand, Shamadesh, Siam, was Ayodhya. Ayodhya, they call it. Still the city's there. Yeah, there's still the old capital of Thailand, Siam, is Ayodhya, is the name. It's a Thai version of Ayodhya. Ayodhya, the meaning of the name is unfightable, means no one can defeat them. And actually it's a fact that although all the countries around, that means to the west, India, Burma, and then to the north and east, Laos and Vietnam, Cambodia, and to the south, Malaysia, they're all conquered by either the English or the French. But Thailand was never conquered. They were always independent. Because the expectation, the people born in kings' families, they're the boys, they're trained. You have to be like Rama, because the expectation is the king has to be like this. This Margaret Thatcher, ex-Prime Ministeress of Great Britain, United Kingdom, she just died. And many people were saying, oh, what a... anyway, not nice person she was. Female dog. Margaret Thatcher. Many people were just, she is so bad. Margaret Thatcher. There's no need to discuss in detail, just to give the example of just the opposite. But still in Ayodhya, even today, and all over, people remember Ram. Why? Why do they remember? A few years ago, I was in Jharkhand, in one town there. I just celebrated Ram Navami, where in Mayapur, I believe it was, or Calcutta. So then I went up to Jharkhand. We were driving through all the towns and villages in the jungle area. Jharkhand means it's forest area. And everywhere, all the towns and villages were decorated. Everywhere they were having festival for Ram Navami. Today in the newspapers in Gujarat, on the front page, the Gujarati newspapers, they'll have a picture of Ramchandra Bhagavan. Despite all these people saying, we don't believe in any God, what's the proof? The people there, they don't care about your proof. Ramchandra Bhagavan ki jai. So why? Why are they doing that? Why they are not doing that for Margaret Thatcher? Yeah. Because they love Ram. Such a king that people even now, he ruled so many millions of years ago, but people even now, they love him for that. So that is the ideal for a king, and therefore the Kshatriyas, they grow up hearing about Rama. You should rule like Rama. And all the boys, they grow up and they hear about Rama and they think, yes, I should be a good husband like Rama was. Girls grow up hearing about Sita and think, yes, I should be like Sita. But many young boys, they grow up hearing about Rama and they think, no, I'll just be a devotee of Rama. And then they leave the world and then they spend their whole life. Today there'll be so many sadhus in Ayodhya, and then other times of the year they'll go to Chitrakoot and to Janakpur. According to the time of the year, they'll just wander from place to place, hearing Ram Lila, discussing Ram Lila. So it's described in Bhagavatam that Parikshit Maharaj was a great devotee of Krishna from his childhood. Then why should he be hearing about Rama? Well, everyone will hear about Rama, but devotees of Krishna, they also like to hear about Rama. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also left home. To be fully absorbed, always thinking of Krishna. But on this day, on Ram Navami, on Ram Navami and Vijay Dashami, on these 2 days, he celebrated Ram Lila. And he instructed Rupa Goswami when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving instructions for Vaishnavas, what you should do. And one of them was that among all the many instructions, you should observe the festivals like Ram Navami, Ram Navami. So we should all pass our time hearing about pastimes of Krishna, Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana. Just like these boys, they're not here now. Are they practicing their drama? Is it? Yeah. So they're growing up. They're learning Tamil by hearing Ram Lila. So all their life they can remember this and be happy. Can you remember all the things you learned at school? If I think back to the things I learned at school, then does it make me happy? Oh, I was sitting in class and I learned about the different attracted protons and neutrons and there's no such thing. But these boys are growing up hearing Ram Lila, and all their life they can be happy remembering Ram Lila. So if you get education in the Gurukul, not very likely you're going to be a successful materialist. We don't expect these boys to become doctors, engineers, successful businessmen, and so on. They might do. We don't curse them, but you never know. But from the devotional perspective, which is the actual, proper perspective, it is millions and billions of times better to live in poverty all your life and remember Rama and Krishna than to have lots and lots of money and not remember Rama and Krishna. So you may say, well, why not have the best of both worlds? Have a good job and plenty of money and remember Rama and Krishna also. But the very idea of wanting to, or thinking that there's any happiness in this material world is an obstruction to having love for Krishna. And the endeavor for material happiness is just a waste of time, because first thing, there is no material happiness. It's just an illusion. And it takes away our time for hearing and chanting and remembering about Rama, Krishna, Varaha, Vamana, Kurma, etc. That's why the materialistic people, they think that Vaishnavas are very dangerous. If you mix with them, you might just leave everything and go and be a beggar. So materialistic people, they will condemn such a life. Why, you see, you're coming from a very good family and you're living just in poverty with just some torn clothes. So yes, we worship the people who we worship the most. They are first-class materialists and very powerful and influential and wealthy people. They're the people we worship the most. Which people are we talking about? Any idea? Tyaktva turnama shesha mandala patishayaning sada tuchavat bhutva dina ganesha ko karunaya kopina kantashrito gopi bhava rasamritabdila hari kalola magno mohur vande rupa sanatano raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalaka. We worship Rupa and Sanatan and the other Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were very powerful and wealthy ministers in the government, but we don't worship them for that. We worship them because they had the misfortune to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Himself was a madman, living very comfortably at home with his wife and mother, but he became completely mad and left it all. And then he went and met these Rupa and Sanatan and made them mad also. They were living very happy lives. After meeting him, they just left everything and went to live in Vrindavan. With only some skimpy cloth to cover them. No fixed residence. But they were always diving and surfacing in the waves of the ocean of nectar, of the gopis' feelings for Krishna. The Srila Prabhupada noted that even now in India there are many sadhus, and even though some of them have a bad habit of smoking bidis, they're not materialistic people. They're not interested in luxury or watching cinemas or any nonsense things like this. Those who are Rama Bhaktas, they'll go from place to place, or some of them may stay in one place and they'll hear about Rama. So, let's hear about Rama. It, which means this 10th chapter, also describes the Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravana and returned to Ayodhya, the capital of his kingdom. So, the son of Maharaj Khatvanga was Dirghabahu and his son was Raghu. The son of Raghu was Aja, the son of Aja was Dasharath, and the son of Dasharath was Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord descended into this world in his full quadruple expansion as Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrugna, great sages like Valmiki, who are actually in knowledge of the absolute truth, described his transcendental pastimes. Srila Shukadev Goswami describes these pastimes in brief. Lord Ramachandra went with Vishvamitra and killed Rakshasas like Maricha. So that's already jumping quite a bit. It's jumping through the lila. Here it's stated that he killed, with Vishvamitra, he killed Maricha. At that time, actually, when his first outing with Vishvamitra, he didn't kill Maricha exactly. He just shot him to the other side of India. Well, he certainly killed his pride. He didn't kill his demoniac propensity. Because actually Maricha was fully Rama conscious. After being shot by Rama and carried several thousand yojanas away, he always remembered Rama. He was afraid of him. If anyone said any word beginning with Ra, he thought, now they're going to say Rama, and he'd feel all afraid. He was living in his ashram, but the trees, he he'd see the shadows and he was always afraid. Is that Rama? So he was fully Rama conscious, but not with love, but with fear. So, you all know the story, that eventually Ravana came and said to Maricha, hey, you got to help me. We've got to kidnap Sita, you've got to help me here. So Maricha told him, he told her, come on, you're crazy, you're stupid. What do you say? Just go back home and be happy. You already got so many women you kidnapped all over the universe. You're living very happily. Just go back to Lanka and chant Jai Ravana and be happy. Whoever gave you this idea of trying to kidnap Sita must be your worst enemy. But Ravana, as a typical egoistic fool, couldn't listen to good advice. So Maricha said, well, if I don't do what you say, you'll kill me. And if I do what you say, Rama will kill me. Better be killed by Rama than you. So this way the lila unfolded. So Rama, we know he went off to, when the golden deer came, Ram went off to catch that golden deer. So you may wonder, well, why is he wanted to catch the deer, but he couldn't catch it, so he killed it. So you may say that why would he kill the deer? And even in the Ramayana, it seems to be stated that he would kill animals and they would eat meat. Although in the Gita press of Valmiki, edition of Valmiki Ramayana, although it has practically no commentary throughout the book, at this point they insert some commentary. That this word, when it says there's some word, I believe it's amisham is the word, but it doesn't, the Gita press, they make the point to point out that this doesn't necessarily mean meat. It can be understood in other ways also. Anyway, maybe he was eating meat. Well, we don't know. But anyway, even if he was, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not a Jain. So anyway, Maricha, demons are stupid. So Maricha was a demon. So he wanted to stay alive. That's why he was hiding away from Rama and from Ravana. He could have just gone to Rama and said, hey look, this jerk Ravana, he's trying to get me to do something to, but why don't you just shelter me and then you go and kill Ravana and I'll be happy and you'll be happy and the whole world will be happy if Ravana's dead. But he couldn't think of such a thing. The demon can never think of taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. They have this sense of false pride. They'd rather go to hell. So, when he was shot, Maricha, he called out in a voice resembling Rama's voice, Lakshman, help! He didn't have to do that. Anyway, he's going to die. I guess he had some sense of responsibility to Ravana. I don't know. The way the demons, their idea of morality is all very strange. So of course, Lakshman, he knew that's not, Sita was saying, oh, you have to go and help him. So Lakshman said, come on, Rama, he's not in any problem. There's no question of him, he doesn't need me to help him, I'm just here to serve him, that's all. So these are all long stories. So these boys, they can learn, they can grow up with Ramayana and Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then they can sit in a village and they can tell the stories every night and everyone will become... We should have like this everywhere, like it used to be. In every village there'll be someone telling the leelas and people at night they'll come and listen. Now, you see, there's no time. Only briefly we can touch a few points. But if you're living in a village and you're going to be there every day, you're not in a rush to go anywhere. There's no cricket to watch on TV because you don't have a TV. Yeah, TV is today's Ravana. So you can go through Ram Lila and you can take as much time as you like. You can go on, you can you can discuss some small point. You can go 1 hour, 2 hours. There's no hurry. We can't imagine in modern city life, it's all running here and there, busy, no time. Even our study, I study, do the Bhakti Shastra, you get it finished in time, everything. We're all in this city consciousness. Of course, Rama is king of Ayodhya, city. But that city life is different to modern city life. Everyone would have some work to do. But not that people were working, open their shop at 9 o'clock in the morning, close it at 11 o'clock at night. Not like that. Few hours in the morning, few hours in the evening, and then the rest of the day. Not this work hard, earn more money. Everyone would have something to do, but they'd do it, but there's no big rush or stress, no such thing. So, after breaking the stout and strong bow known as Haradhanu, the Lord married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Parashuram. So that was the condition for marrying Mother Sita, whoever can string this bow. So that was impossible. Lord Shiva's bow, only Lord Shiva can handle it. The only person, apart from Lord Shiva, who can handle the bow of Lord Shiva is Lord Vishnu. And only he can be the husband of Sita. So it was impossible for anyone else. It was a good test set by Janak Maharaj. That bow was so heavy that no one could even pick it up. Even to bring it, they'd have to put it on some cart, and it would take so many men just to put it on the cart and then push it. So, this young boy came in. He hadn't been to the gym. He was just replete with all strength, eternally. So, out of play, he picked it up and strung it, and just by pulling he broke it. Then he cut down the prestige of Parashuram. Parashuram, Vishnu avatar. He'd heard there's some powerful young Kshatriya has come up. So any Kshatriya who meets Parashuram, they lose their head. That's what happens to them. By the axe, Parashu, of Rama. But when Parashurama met Ramachandra, then Rama lost his axe and lost his prestige. His time of his avatar, that is over. Now Ramachandra is here. So he will show what is a proper Kshatriya, and he will destroy all the demons. To obey the order of his father, he entered the forest accompanied by Lakshman and Sita. What is that verse? Chagva Suduschaja. What is the verse? Come on, it's an important verse. Vande Mahapurushate Charanaravanda. Maya Mrigam Dayate Psita. Look that up. Tyagva Suduschaja. Look it up. Tyaktva, one word. Next word, su. Next word, dustyaja. It's an important verse because it's actually about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it also describes Krishna and Rama. Or you can find, did you find it? It's in the 11th canto. Maya Mrigam. Did you get that? Surepsita Raja Lakshmim. Yeah. So, he gave up, which is very difficult to give up. His kingdom, which is full of all opulence. It's, of course, Ramachandra Bhagavan, he's the ideal person. He's generally known as Narottama, the ideal man. Or as a general name for Vishnu, Narottama means who's above all men. Yeah, even the condition of Ayodhya, of which he was to be made the king, that was even surpassing that of the demigods in heaven. So all the arrangements were there for him to be crowned. And then his father called him and said, without any prior intimation, okay, you're not going to be crowned, you have to go to the forests. Immediately, without any trepidation or perturbation, or just, yes, all right. Showing that actually he's completely detached. 1 minute he was going to be the king of an undisputed kingdom better than that of the demigods, and next second, now you go like a beggar to the forest. Yes. Either he's ready to accept. Father told me to be the king, okay. Now you just go, alright. Then what's the next line? Mayamrigam. He chased after the illusory animal. Mayamrigam dayate epsitam anvadhavad. He chased after the... What is that? He chased after the illusory animal which was desired by his beloved wife. That's what it means in relation to Ramachandra. The illusory animal means Maricha had taken the form of a deer. His wife desired that, so he chased after the deer. Then, next line. No, that's what's the third line? No, that's only 3 lines. Dharmishta Arya, that's the second line. Dharmishta Arya Vachasa Yadaga Dharanyam. Yeah. Because he's completely fixed in dharma, then he accepted the order of his father and went to the forest. And Vande Mahapurusha Te Charanaravind. We offer our respect to this Supreme Personality of Godhead at his lotus feet. What's the other verse that goes with that? Vande Mahapurusha. There are 2 verses together. Oh yeah, all the great personalities, they meditate upon him. Yeah. That doesn't describe his pastime so much. Describes his position as the Supreme Lord. Alright, so let's see if we can... I'll just read through all of this. There, in the forest, he cut off the nose of Shuraparnaka and killed the associates of Ravana, headed by Kara and Dushana. So this is the very abbreviated version. Ravana's kidnapping of Sita Devi was the beginning of this demon's misfortune. When Maricha assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi, but in the meantime Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. When Sita Devi was kidnapped, Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lakshman, searched for her throughout the forest. In the course of this search, they met Jatayu. Then the Lord killed the demon Kabandha and the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. After organizing the military strength of the monkeys and going with them to the shore of the sea, the Lord awaited the arrival of Samudra, the ocean personified. But when Samudra did not come, the Lord, the master of Samudra, became angry. Then Samudra came to the Lord with great haste and surrendered to him, wanting to help him in every way. Did you all visit when we went to Rameshwaram? Dhanushkoti? You all went there? At the other end of the Pambam island is Rameshwaram's on one side and Dhanushkoti on the other. The Lord then attempted to bridge the ocean, and with the help of advice from Vibhishana, he attacked Ravana's capital, Lanka. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, had set fire to Lanka. Now with the help of Lakshman, the forces of Lord Ramachandra killed all the Rakshasa soldiers. Then Lord Ramachandra personally killed Ravana. Mandodari and other wives lamented for Ravana, and in accordance with Lord Ramachandra's order, Vibhishana performed the funeral ceremonies for all the dead in the family. Lord Ramachandra then gave Vibhishana the right to rule Lanka and also granted him a long duration of life. So how long could Vibhishana live? He's still alive. He's one of the Chirayis, the Chiranjeevis. There are 7 Chiranjeevis mentioned. He's one of them. Can't remember all of them now. Ashvatthama is one of them also. So, the Lord delivered Sita Devi from the Ashok forest and carried her in a flower airplane to his capital Ayodhya, where he was received by his brother Bharat. Oh, I see. Pushpak Vimana in Sanskrit has been translated here to flower airplane, that's what it means. Yeah. When Lord Ramachandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat brought his wooden shoes, Vibhishana and Sugriva held a whisk and fan, Hanuman carried an umbrella, Shatrughna carried the Lord's bow and 2 quivers, and Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from the holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan, Riksharaj, carried a shield. After Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshman and Mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vasishta enthroned him as king. The chapter ends with a short description of Lord Ramachandra's rule in Ayodhya. Jai Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki Jai.
Jai.
So what was the program? 10:30 bhajans, and then 11:30 Abhishek. And then Aratis at 12:30, and then Prasadam, lunch prasad. Okay, Jai. Bhajans means we have to sing the Dashavata Stotra. Obviously, should be there today. So, Hare Krishna. Any question? Not much philosophy today. Oh, there may be so many questions. Many things are difficult to understand. We just have to understand this is lila. Hare Krishna. You have a question? Yeah, okay. How did Vibhishana get the attraction for Lord Rama? That's mentioned somewhere, is it? Garga Samhita or somewhere. In the previous life he was a great devotee. Can't remember now exactly. You need a Puranic, someone who knows all the Puranas, to tell you all this. He was a half-brother of Ravana. And his mother was very pious, whereas Ravana's, usually the son follows after the mother. So the mother of Ravana was a demoniac mentality, but the mother of Vibhishana was a saintly mentality. I can't remember the whole thing. It caught me out there.
Ramachandra went to Lanka fight with Ravana after so much endeavor, brought back Sita Devi to Ayodhya. Then again, because someone told something, then Ramachandra sent her back to the forest. Why is that?
Say in Tamil so everyone can hear. So what is the answer? Do you know the answer? Everyone knows the answer. They just don't accept it, that's all. Everyone knows the answer. Whoever asked this question also knows the answer. Rama did this because otherwise people would blame him. He would he had to uphold the dignity of his forefathers. So everyone knows this is well known. Just that people don't want to accept it. They have some different ideas of dharma. They think they know dharma better than Ramachandra Bhagavan. For the king, he has to maintain absolute dignity and absolute spotlessness of character. Often the kings don't, and nowadays, to be a leader, you have to be the most wicked person. To be a governmental leader in the modern age means you're in competition with Ravana. But actually the leader should be spotless.